Hello everyone, I'm Robert Rusk and this is my video presentation on the election system. This works in conjunction with my PowerPoint, so it will be attached to the discussion board forum. Now, I want to begin with the reason why I started this. I chose this topic and did it for this presentation. I was interested in finding out why we use the concurrent method in figuring out who to elect. I mean, it was something that bothered me since we did the chapter, and I also struggled the most with this chapter. I don't know if you did as well, but I'm a big believer in in order to understand a problem, you have to start at the very beginning of it. So, next two slides in the PowerPoint is just a more or less reminding myself of what an election is. To me, an election is the most basic form of freedom of choice. It is also one of the biggest debated topics in American history, presidential elections mostly. But the only parts of this that I noticed changed over time was in regards to the population size, and that's where the method comes in to help out with the most. Now, the presidential election, like most other elections, or unlike most other elections, has two parts: the indirect, which is the public vote, us voting for candidates, and the Electoral College. The Electoral College is the representatives within the government who we basically help elect to decide who the president is. Well, the concurrent method works best with the indirect election or indirect vote, since it can be applied better. And one interesting thing I did find is that the primaries and most caucuses that we deal with nowadays are relatively new. They didn't exist when this process was first created. Now, in the book, concurrent method is defined as a voting system for elections with several candidates in which one candidate is a winner, meaning it's a process of elimination, which makes sense since there can only be one winner in an election. My question is, why is the system used to help elect the president? Now, my findings were that there is no definitive answer to this. There is no founding father who decided, hey, we're going to use this method to decide this. I couldn't find that, or at least there is no article that exists on this topic that I could find. So I just have to go off of gut instinct, and that tells me that this is the most simple and most basic way to elect a person. That it's basically foolproof. It's process of elimination in one of its most basic aspects. So then what happens if a mistake is made? The 2000 election is the perfect example of what happens when someone screws up the information getting put into the concurrent method, the infamous butterfly ballot that was used in Florida that caused the concurrent winner to be completely thrown off and Al Gore being announced as the winner. Well, why did this happen? It could be as simple as people make mistakes or the computer made a mistake. It could be any number of reasons or all of the above. So it brings me to the next slide. Math sometimes can lie, but it's only because the people or the techniques being used to help find the information to put into the equation are making a mistake. They're making it wrong. So the method is sound, and there's no reason to change it or us to completely overhaul the election system unless there really is a need. My closing thoughts on this are, after researching this, I understand a little bit more about what it is that concurrent method and elections are about, but at the same time, it's still such a complex and new thing to me. I'm still a little bit confused on some of it. The election system doesn't need to change if you ask me, but my question to you is simple. Do you think that there is a need for us to overhaul everything that we do and everything that goes into this system, particularly the method we use to choose a president, or is it no need to change? I'm Robert Rusk, and thank you for watching my presentation.